Hello, Melanie.
Hello, Jem.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I am really good. And I am super excited on this topic because we both come from similar sort of professions. Um, they're sort of a closely related discipline field, but actually, there are distinct differences when we're talking about marketing, communications, PR in particular, public relations. And there are slight nuances between them. And I think let's actually start by going over those because they're similar but
Mm,
different. So I think in terms of like marketing, that is very visual. It is sort of the creation of collateral, it's the brand, but it is also the tone of voice and the values.
mhm.
But it's got quite a distinct sort of bucket. Communications, I would say, is more about sort of your writing style. It's about campaigns, copywriting, press releases. You have that sort of function a lot with sort of internal comms. Um, and there's a lot of engagement that comes with communications. But I think where the real connection with PR is with communications, you also deal with sort of crisis management and crisis comms. And actually, PR and public relations does focus on sort of managing public perception. It is about sort of image and reputation, a lot of monitoring and knowing how to react to that. So how do you see the difference between them? Because it can be, they always say, there's a saying, isn't there? If you don't care about your family not knowing what you're doing, go into PR.
Well, listen, I don't do the PR that you just said, where, people need a PR person to kind of like get them out of the hole they've got themselves in. I don't do that side of it. I work predominantly with female coaches or female service providers. And in answer to your question about the difference between marketing and PR, is marketing is selling the service. So the retreat, the VIP days, the coaching, selling a book, whatever the thing is that you want to sell, that's your marketing basically saying, please buy it. The PR is selling who you are. And when women get that, magic happens, because that's when you no longer worry about the phrase saturated market. Because if you look at coaches, there's thousands, millions of them around the
There
world.
is. Yeah.
So women, the ones that get it, know exactly what they're doing. So they're like, yeah, I know there's loads of coaches who do what I do, but no one's me. No one's walked my path, had my life experiences, even get the qualifications that you've gained. They haven't necessarily studied the same way that you did. I haven't even, I'm self taught in PR. And it's about being, you see, this is what I love. We hear the phrase in business, what are your core values? When someone comes to me for PR, a lot of the time, some women really know what they're walking into, but some do only to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I want the visibility. Yeah, I want more people to come into my world and therefore I make more money. What some don't realize when they start this process is all of a sudden, I call it being like an onion. And we're going to peel back layers about you that you may have put to bed. And actually, when you're a coach, there's been this glorified version that people want to put online, that they're perfect and their lives are perfect and they wake up every day and life's just wonderful, right? And there's been that glossy image that coaches have wanted to put in the online space. And a lot of the times as a coach, there was like, oh my God, I can't let people know I've been through that. Or, oh no, don't dare let anyone know that this happened in my life. When actually that's the very thing you need to bring to the table.
Yes.
Because the people seeking the assistance need it for whatever reason they need. So for instance, you could have had a woman who could have had a miscarriage, right? A woman who is looking for a coach, if she's gone through a miscarriage and she suddenly finds out now that this coach went through a miscarriage too, there's no marketing in the world, no marketing in the world that's going to make that connection, because it's a life experience. Okay. And people connect with people for so many reasons. Maybe someone got bullied at school. You could have had an eating disorder, right? And these are things that people don't really want to talk about, because it's like, oh, don't really want people to know that about my life. And what I say to people is, I'm never going to make you talk about things that you don't feel good about. Never going to do that. But what I always say to them is, by you being human instead of this perfect persona, you're now being real, and you're now being relatable, and you're being approachable. So whereas someone would be like, oh, this person just looks too perfect, I'm not even going to try, because I'm never going to live that life. I'm never going to be like that. All of a sudden, you are now presenting yourself to the world saying, hey, a few years ago, I went through XYZ. And now potential clients are looking at you and going, wow, really? I never knew that. Now they're paying attention to your marketing.
That's amazing. And I think you're absolutely spot on there. You're more likely to connect with someone if they are relatable to you, if they have similar lived experiences, similar upbringing, similar backgrounds. And actually, the more you open yourself and the more real you come across and express who you are, the more fluid those connections are going to be. Because social media is a blessing and a curse. It's great. It's the most amazing platform in the world when used correctly. But like you say, what gets put out there and what is actually your true self are two very different things. But equally, I totally understand why people don't want to do that, because that is uncomfortable. It makes you really vulnerable to put your not so perfect self out there for the world to see.
It's interesting, because the more I go down a path with a client on what we're doing, okay, so initially they're going to come to me and they're going to be like, right, I need to sell retreats, or I'm selling a book, or whatever the thing may be. So you just look at the service or the physical thing that they're wanting to sell. And the more they go down this journey, because it is a journey, and I'm going to come across so many women. Some are confident, some are not. Some are extroverts, some are introverts. We're all doing our own life, okay? And I don't class myself and I don't label myself as a coach, but here's what I do. The more that women are because here's the thing, a woman could go on a podcast interview like this now, and a podcast host could ask her a question that she's never seen her business in that light before. Never. Because she's never been asked the question before. It's never been presented to her from that angle. And all of a sudden, she's seeing things in a completely different light. And what happens when I go through this journey with clients is this. They become so lasered on their messaging, because now they're having to unload who they are each time they do an interview, whether that's a written article, whether it's being on a podcast, whether it could be doing a presentation on an online summit. I've got some contacts in digital TV, so they could go on a digital TV show. And all of a sudden, as I said with the onion, the layers are coming back. They're looking at their business in so many different angles, because people are asking different questions and seeing it through their lens. And now they're seeing their business in so many ways that they would never have seen it before. And what I really love, the more we do it, is their core message and who they are becomes as solid as an oak tree, to the point that, you hear that phrase, I will die on the hill for this. And I love that when a woman gets to that point, because we go through it ourselves, where when you're doing your marketing, there can be that wobble where you're like, do I really discuss that? Because I could lose followers. Or if I say that, I could get pushback, or people might see me in a different light, and therefore I ruin everything I've built. And what happens is, the more we do it, women are like, I don't care what people say anymore now, because this is me. This is me. This is my truth. and no one can take that away from me. And I'm not here to be a popularity contest. I'm actually here to provide a business that I love, serve the clients that need serving, and change lives in a way that only I can do by being me.
And I think that creates that longevity as well, because if you're putting on a different persona and having a falseness, you can't carry that on forevermore. But actually, if from the forefront you are your true, authentic self, your business is going to have longevity.
Completely. Because you're not trying to put yourself in a box to be liked. It's like when you're trying to date someone, and at first, we're all putting on the best persona and whatever the thing is, right? But there comes a point in a relationship, whether that's a friend or a lover or whatever, that you're like, you know what? I can't wear the mask anymore. And I don't want to wear the mask anymore. I want to be me. It's like when people, and I don't want to get into a huge debate about this because everyone has their own opinion. But some people are like, oh, do I swear in my marketing or not? And what I always say to people is there's no right or wrong on that. That's a personal thing, right? Because some people will like it, some people won't, right? That's just that's how life goes. But what I always say to clients is don't try and be something online that you're never going to be on a Zoom call. If
Yeah.
you swear and that's your language, why are you going out there like Snow White? And then every time you hop on a Zoom call, you're controlling your language and not being you. So what I say to people, and I'm just using language as an example, it could be anything, right? So what I say to my clients is, your marketing has to come from the heart. I can give you ideas. I can give you pointers. I could show you something. I mean, I have a mind that thinks so out of the box that when I speak to clients, I go, have you thought of this? And they'll go, oh, wow, I'd never seen it from that angle before. And I'm not saying that to toot my horn. It's just the way my brain goes. And so I can give people lots of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But even the PR, I can show them PR. And in my heart, I'm like, oh my God, if they do this, this is going to make them blow up. But here's the thing. I never put my feelings into it because it's their business. If they look at that PR and go, nah, I'm not feeling it, then that's okay because it's their business. And if they don't feel it, whether that's showing up to do a podcast interview or it's just writing out a social media post, if they don't feel what they're doing and saying, it will come across.
That's
and
really
people
interesting.
feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they do. And is that the sort of, how long would you say that you feel like you need to work with someone before you sort of understand their vibe? Because it's got to work two ways as well. When you're in PR, if you're, got all these crazy out there ideas, but then you're meeting with someone who's quite traditionalist and they just want a certain set of skills from you and you're not going to have that rapport. How quickly do you find those? You could pick up on that.
I have questions that I ask clients. Well, even before we start working together. So let's say someone is like, oh, can I hop on a call and just discuss this with you before they even become a client? What I always say to them are two questions. Why do you want PR? So the obvious is going to be, I need to fill a retreat, I'm selling a book. That's the obvious. But then the second question from that is, what is your vision? I can go to sleep at night knowing I'm going to give you loads of PR, knowing you're going to be springing up everywhere possible, not just on social media, but you're going to have huge exposure now. I know I'm going to bring that to the table. I sleep very well at night knowing that's going to happen. But if you don't have a vision, so for instance, a woman comes to me and let's say she wants to sell a retreat. Okay, cool. Let's get that emotion. We know we're going to make that happen, da-di-da. But what's your vision full circle for your business?
Yeah.
Not
beyond
just,
the
I want
retreat.
to, like, who are you as the coach? Why do you, like, who are the ideal clients you want to draw in? Now, the obvious thing is when I do PR, there needs to be a well thought out plan. So for instance, the obvious is sending them to the sales page. Let's say it's a retreat. Automatically, we want to point them to the sales page of the retreat. And that's what we're going to do each time we're promoting. But this is where PR comes into its own beast. And this is why I love it. When I know someone's vision, not only are people coming in to buy a retreat from this coach, but they're coming into the world because there's something about them that they just like. There's a connection. So, for instance, the example I gave before of a life experience they could have gone through. But it could be that you like, you start being real on social media and you start showing, hey, I went to such and such a concert, or, oh, this is my favorite restaurant in town. I absolutely love this kind of food. Chef's kiss, love it. Or it could be, oh, this is the kind of fashion that I like to wear. Whatever the thing is that you're just showing yourself as a real person.
Mm-hmm.
When people see this about you, there's something that they like in you. And I'm not saying, oh, this woman's wearing designer gear, so straight away people like you because you got your designer gear on. It's nothing to do with that. I'm not being that shallow. What I'm meaning is people see something in you that they could possibly think, I could just see me going out for a drink with her. She seems like a really fun time girl. I reckon I'd have a laugh with her. When people can think that about you, don't you think they're going to pay attention to your marketing? Because now they're like, I like her. I like her sense of humor. I like what she stands for. I like the fact she likes that kind of music because I like that music. And now when they have it's like a picture's being drawn, but in dot to dot. So you've got to join up all the dots. And as they're joining up the dots, they're going, oh, I really like this person. I like who they are. I like how they present themselves. And I think I could actually work with this person. There's something about them I'm connecting with. And this is the magic ingredients of PR, because you're not just saying, come to my retreat, come to my retreat. You're actually saying, because here's the thing, and I'm giving this as an example with retreats. Retreats are not cheap. And you're in a very intimate setting with that person.
Yes.
So what people are automatically going to think is, okay, they're going to look up the accommodation, they're going to look at the country that you're in and what activities you're going to provide. But fundamentally, when they go and they purchase that retreat, the thing that's going to make it be a yay is they're going to look at you as the host and go, do you know what? I know I'd get on with her.
I could not agree more. Yeah, retreats are everywhere. You can pick up a retreat at the drop of a hat, but actually you go with the person you think you're going to connect with. You want to talk to someone and either you want to be like them when you grow up, or you think actually I could really vibe with this person, because you're right, you're going to be spending a whole weekend with them and paying for that privilege. So if that connection's not there, you're going to go somewhere else.
And it's interesting, I had this conversation just the other day about it, and look, we all know that the world went nuts in 2020, and what was that thing that got cut off? Connection. And in the coaching industry, as much as like you and me now, we're on a Zoom call recording this interview, you cannot beat being in someone's energy, seeing them, looking into their eyes, like being in their, like learning from them, being in their energy. You can't top that. This is why retreats are exploding, because people want to travel again, but also people are fully aware of, I can hop on a few Zoom calls with this coach and I can progress. But my God, if I spend a weekend or a week with this person, holy mother of God, like I'm going to be a different person when I leave this retreat. And they see that.
Yeah, because you're immersing yourself in that situation. Like Zoom calls are great and they are time savers. When you're working, you don't need to travel. There are so many positive things, but you are still in your own environment. When you're on a Zoom call, we're present, but we've still got other things in the back of our minds because we have responsibility within the house. When you're taken away from that, you fully immerse yourself within a new environment. And you soak
Absolutely.
it all up.
And you also have that person's undivided attention. Like they are giving themselves completely to the guests. So you can ask all the questions in the world, you can pick their brain. There's so much you can do at that retreat that you can't do on a Zoom call.
Yeah, could not agree more. The one thing it does do is obviously connect us from different places. So I'm in England right now and you are in Gran Canaria. So how did you said you aren't your training wasn't necessarily in PR. So how did you actually get into it?
Yeah, it's been a funny old journey. When I lived in England, I always, I just like coaches. I liked them. I liked how they showed up. I liked the fact that their business was their baby. And fundamentally that they want to make a difference in the world and give people a better life. And I love that. So I was always following coaches. And there was a coach that I had been in her world for a little bit. And so when the world went crazy, I had to bring the job that I do over here, which is front of house for restaurants. I never needed to be online. The footfall was immense. It was easy. Then I had to bring it online. And I learned a whole new way of doing that job. And you could think, well, that's easy to do because let's face it, people are on holiday, of course they're going to want to eat and drink. But there's a way and there's a flair of doing it. You know, you can go into any Facebook group. What's the one thing you don't want when you're in a Facebook group? You don't want to feel badgered. You don't want to feel like someone's like knocking you over the head and saying, buy this. You don't want that. You want a normal conversation. And so what I used to do when I brought it online was look for the questions people were asking. So people might be saying things like, oh, we really want to go out tonight for dinner, but we want to have we want it to have some nice cocktails overlooking a sunset. And they're specifying what they want. Well, the place I worked for had all that, but I didn't lead with, here's our link. Why don't you reserve a table and get all heavy on it? I would start asking questions like, where are you based on the island? Then they tell me, how many is there of you? Is it just a normal night? Is it a birthday? Is it an anniversary? Get into who they are, why they're going out. And that conversation could go on for a little bit. And then I would say, would you like to see the Facebook business page?
Yeah.
Well, at that point, of course they do, because they've not been hit over the head saying, come to the restaurant. And it's the same with PR. So initially, I thought I wanted to do social media. So I didn't know if I was going to be like a social media manager, but my passion was social media. And so this particular coach could see my journey, and she said, I have a lot of clients who just don't get social media, and I would love for you to come into the mastermind. And I've seen your journey, and I see how you show up, and I see what you do. And I know you know what you're doing. I'd love for you to do a presentation on social media on how they can make it work for themselves. So I did. And then about a year later, it was interesting because I'd never told anyone what I wanted to do. It was kind of inside of me. There was just this like, you know what, we all get to that point where we're like, I want more, but I don't know what that more is.
Yes.
And this coach who'd asked me to come into the mastermind and do the training for social media, a year later reached out to me and said, Mel, I'm going to start selling retreats and I want you to be my PR consultant. And straight away, as soon as she said that, it was like a eureka moment. It was like, that's it.
That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, it was like, yes, I love social media and I like doing my own social media. But I'm not going to lie, even though I can do people's social media, it doesn't light me up. Like, I'm not going to feel passionate about that. I can do it, but I don't feel lit up. But when someone comes to me and says, I want to crank up my visibility and I want to do PR in a way that sells me, but it feels good, that's when I come alive, because I feel very honored that someone's going to entrust me to put them in a good light. And it's like, to give you an example, because this is how much I care about what I do. So a little while ago, this was probably October time, and I was on a Zoom call with a client, and we were discussing the last quarter of this year and what we were going to do going into the 2025. And we were discussing so many things. And as I said, I never push PR on people. I was just showing her these things that were cropping up and what we were going to do and the plans that we had. And at the end of the call, she just happened to say, oh, I feel so excited because everything feels in alignment with what I want to do. And I said, that's why I do what I do. In this conversation, I've shown you PR. Some of it you said yes, some of it you've said no. You've given your input on how you want to do things and how you want it to flow. And I take that on board and I listen, and I am going to do everything in my power that it's represented in a way that you feel lit up about, because it's
Yeah.
you are your brand, right? And so when a client turns around to me and says, oh my God, I feel so in alignment with what we're saying, that to me is everything, because I can't be her. Nobody can be her. She is her own person. I can't tell her how to speak. I can't tell her what to wear. I can't tell her how to be her personality, because that's why I called my business, You Are Your Marketing. You know, I could
Yes.
have a client that phones me and says, Mel, I'm running late. There's no way I'm going to make my podcast interview schedule for me, which is happening in an hour. I tell you what, why don't you do it for me? Like, they're never going to ask that question, because that's not what a podcast interview is. The podcast interview wants to meet the person of
Yes.
the business, you know? And so I feel totally lit up working very closely with someone to build a business in a way that they can't wait to get out of bed and do their business, because
Yeah.
it's them.
That's amazing. That's really, really wonderful. And PR is all about relationship building. So, you know, you have to do it with them in order for them to be able to do it with their business essentially and then sell it. It's a very,
You know,
very unique skill.
yeah, it's like when I said to you, the first questions I'll ask someone, even before we start working together, which is, why do you want PR? So let's say they say, I want to sell retreats. Obviously, that's the mission then, that we're going to sell a retreat. But people are going to come into your world and go on a journey. So, for instance, let's say someone comes into that world, sees the retreat, and let's say they don't go on that specific retreat, but they could see something about this coach and the other things they do, and they're like, oh my God, she does VIP days, or oh my goodness, I like that coaching she does over there. And they walk into that person's world, and they may not necessarily go in and do the retreat, but there's something about this person that they like, and they can become a customer that not necessarily is what they hired before, which is to do the retreat, but they could become a customer of so many other things that they do within their business. And that's when PR, that's when you've got it locked in. When you've got your PR locked in, it's like people walk into Narnia and they're paying attention to everything in your world, and something just jumps out at them and they're like, oh my God, I really want to work with this person. And that's what I want to do with them.
That brings me really nicely on to my next point, that actually I think people have a perception that they only sort of go for PR or marketing when there is sort of either an issue or something that they need, but actually do it at the beginning, do it when you're starting your business. Like, when do you think is the right time?
That's so funny you mentioned that. I'm going to be launching a PR membership, which is going to start the end of March. And as part of this membership, I'm going to bring in the PR contacts that I've acquired throughout the years. And these contacts have massive platforms. We're not talking like a few hundred here or a few thousand there. They're massive. These are going to change people's lives, these platforms that they can go on. And I spoke to them all, and they were all really kind and said, yes, we will definitely, we feel honored that you've approached us, and we will definitely come in. We'll do presentations. They're going to show them like how to sell themselves well to the media, what the media look for, and then obviously they'll get featured on their platforms. And one of the guests, I was so happy with what she said, because she said if she had to do her business over again, she would have done PR way sooner than what she did. And it's a really funny one, because, and I want to give this example because I come across it a lot, and women really get this. So I know many women who will look at their competition in their niche and go, there's no way. There's no
Yes.
way I can compete with that woman. That woman, whatever she sells, it's going to turn to gold. She's got a huge community. I'm going to need to grow more, and then
Yeah.
I can compete with that. What I always say to women is this: at some point in that woman's life, in her journey of business, She woke up one day and she said, I no longer want to be the unheard voice. I no longer want to be the person that nobody knows about. And I'm fed up watching my competitors smash it. And here I am struggling. She woke up to that one day. Now, here's the thing. You cannot compare your journey to hers.
Mm-hmm.
You are further behind her, which is not a good thing or a bad thing. You're just behind her. But what's going to happen to you is this. You are going to do what she did. And at some day, and I don't know when that day will be, you will know because you're going to wake up and you're going to go through that moment where you tell yourself, I'm fed up being undiscovered. I'm fed up. People don't know who I am. Like if people are searching for a coach that does X, Y, Z, I'm not discussed. And you're going to reach that point. And when you do, that's when you're going to realize the magic of PR. But right now, it's like the chicken and the egg syndrome. It's like, you're like, well, I need to grow a business before I do PR. But actually, PR is the thing that grows it. But people don't see that.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think, yeah, the sooner you do it, I mean, even big organizations do it. They could be a multi-million pound business and their marketing budget is one person. But it is crucial to get it right. I mean, there's all these things about, brands that have remarketed and then it's shot off because they've actually seen the benefit in that.
I want to give an example, just a tiny example here, because when I talk to people, again, it hits. So, that we already know Bali is a huge hotspot for retreats, right? I've never been to Bali, but what I can tell you is I don't even need to search the internet to know that any sales page I go to, it's going to be held in a swanky villa. They're going to eat really nourishing food. They're probably going to be near the ocean. They're going to take them to see the monkeys. They're going to go to the holy waters. That's, without sounding crass, that's standard Bali retreat. Probably throwing a bit of yoga as well, right? That is standard, right? And so what I say to people is this. Your sales page, and I get why they get bogged down with it because they're selling a retreat. So it's like, we've got to tick off all these boxes. We've got to have this amazing villa and we've got to show them that this is going to happen and that's going to happen and da-da-da-da. And what I say to them is this, but who are you? You're the host. Not once in a sales page have you said who you are, what you do, why you're passionate about what you do, and what's in it for them for showing up.
Yeah.
And what I also say to them is, if you can do a video on your retreat page, that's everything. I can read loads of sales pages for retreats. I'm not really going to be wowed by it because it's just standard Bali looking at me. But if I was to come across a coach selling her retreat in Bali and she had a video there and she gave of herself in that video on why she's passionate and why she's doing this retreat and what's in it for them, because that's what you always have to think, no matter what you're selling. The customer's always going to say in their head, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
So you need to answer this all the time with your PR and your marketing. So I always say to people, well, when you do a video on your sales page, have the customer in mind, speak in their language. So you want to go to Bali, tropical paradise. We're going to have it in this villa and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But you know what? I want to tell you about me. My name's such and such a name. This is where I'm from. I live here. This has been my journey. This is my work's mission. And the reason I've chosen Bali is, and all the people that come are going to benefit because this is what you're going to get out of attending. If I saw a coach doing that, now I use Bali as an example, but we know Costa Rica's popular, Mexico's popular, wherever the destination is, if I see a coach personalizing the video and actually personalizing that video so that when the potential client clicks on the video, they're like, wow, it's like she's just spoken to me. And now you've transported that person from just looking and skimming over a sales page to actually feeling like, oh my God, I really like her. I could see myself going there. she looks fun. I'm going to give her a call. I think I'm going to go. You've got to get them to that point.
Yeah, it makes it
And
feel like they care. They care that you're coming to their retreat.
yeah. And a lot of coaches don't see the importance of doing a video. They're like, oh, well, why won't a photo do it? Well, a photo is good. It shows the villa, but what so many coaches let themselves down on is when you're a coach, you're selling you. So if I've got 10 sales pages and then I eventually narrow it down to 3 sales pages, and I'm like, okay, it's one of these 3. I guarantee you, the coach that was passionate enough to do a video and to stand there in her power and say, this is me, and this is why I feel passionate about doing retreats. And I guarantee that if you come to my retreat, you're going to experience X, Y, Z, and you're going to leave feeling so wonderful for these reasons. Who do you think I'm going to go with? The woman that was. It's a simple thing. It's the most simple thing, but it's sometimes the thing that we overlook because we're so bogged down in, I've got to sell a retreat. Yeah, but don't
Yeah.
make it difficult. Don't make it
Yeah,
difficult.
I know. And I think there is an element, I mean, less so with coaches because they sort of have to have that sort of stage presence, but it's uncomfortable. And I think if you're selling your business, you've got to get used to feeling uncomfortable, particularly on social media.
Absolutely. And this is why, as I said earlier, when I am dealing with clients, I love seeing their journey because it is something else I want to state because, again, realistic expectations. For anyone to have any form of results from PR, you need to be doing it at least 6 months. I hate all this viral chat, whether you're talking about a reel going viral or whatever you're discussing. How many people are going to go viral? Not many, right? And so I always say to clients, realistic expectations are you need to be doing this 6 months to see some
Yeah.
form of traction. Because as we know, it's that touch point, isn't it? It's very rare that someone's going to buy from you if they've never come across you before. And now people need to see you even way more, right? And so each time they're seeing you and each time they're reading an article or listening to your story, whether it's on a podcast or whatever, YouTube, whatever, like they are forming a story about you. Because listen, this is where they forget this stuff. You're just a stranger online.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of PR is that each time you do it, you're no longer just this icon on social media. You're no longer just someone who's just trying to sell coaching. Actually, now you're a real human being leading a real life with the highs of life, the lows of life, the in between of life. And now you become real, relatable, and approachable. That's when PR becomes magic.
Mm. Yeah. And that's why you need that sort of consistency. So going back to if you're not true to yourself and you're giving off this false persona, you can't keep that up.
No, absolutely not. You can't. You
No.
can't.
So
You've
this is
got to be.
launching in your subscriptions launching in March.
Yeah. So I'll tell you how this came about. So I have always liked one-to-one. I just feel like it's just me. I've always loved it because I know that PR is very personal.
It
I
is.
know that, especially a woman, a woman's trusting me to put her in good light, holding her hand through this process. And it's nice to be able to, when I work one-to-one with a client, they can reach me anytime. Obviously, with time differences, you have to allow for that. But, excuse me, they can message me anytime. They could reach out and say, Mel, have you got capacity to hop on a Zoom call? Can I just pick your brain about something? Like, I love all that. And I love being there for that person one-to-one. You can't beat it.
Mm.
But what I've come across is what I said when I was saying there are women who are like, but do I need PR? Can't I just carry on with my emails and social media? And I'm like, of course you can. Of course you can carry on with your emails and social media, but your growth will be slower. It's not to say you won't get there, but it will be slower because you're relying on the algorithm and you're relying on the open rate of your emails. Whereas
Yeah.
when you start PR, we never discuss algorithms when I talk to my clients. We just never do. So What's happened is the more I speak to women, I'm coming across women who they hear about PR, but they don't feel ready for it, or they seem
Mm-hmm.
to talk themselves out of it because they're like, well, I need to get bigger as a business and then I'll look at it. So, what I'm going to do with the membership is I'll help them with their press releases, their pitches. I'll get them PR. They can do question and answer with me twice a month. And once a month, I'm going to bring in my media contacts and they're going to do a presentation. I'm not gatekeeping on that. It's not how I roll. I've said to every single one of them, I'm not going to gatekeep you. Come in, give your experience. And that excites me because it isn't just me bashing them over the head saying, do PR. Like, they're going to have the media go in there. And to me, that, that's everything, because knowledge is power, but
Yes.
it's more powerful when it's shared. And that phrase came to me when I was like, I need to show women that they're ready now. They are ready now. They just need to know and believe it. I know I can never force someone to that point, and I never do. You're ready when you're ready. But a lot of times, and I understand why women say what they say, especially women, because we're worried about our body image and all of this. It's like anything in life. There's never going to be a perfect time. Never.
Yes.
And the more you delay it, here's the thing with PR, because I always say this to people. No woman is ever going to wake up and go, I'm going to do PR today. That's not going to happen. And when she does get to a point where she's going to do it, that's a big step. And I want to be that person there for them that's helping them through the self-sabotage, the body image, maybe issues that they may have. Maybe they
Yeah.
do an interview like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said this in an interview, Mel. God, I think I really let myself down. Like, whatever the thing may be that they need to discuss, I want to be there for them because I value what I do. You're a person going through your own stuff. It's
Mm.
life. And so I want to be there for you, that if you're feeling a bit wibbly wobbly, or you just need that extra assistance and you're like, Mel, can I just pick your brain about something? Or do you mind, we were going to do this, but do you mind if we do it this way now? Like, I'm there for that. I'm never going to have my agenda. I'm never going to say this or nothing. Like, I listen to my clients and I want my clients to feel so confident when they do their PR.
Yeah.
So that when they turn up to the podcast interview, they're like, oh my God, I felt really good about that. Or if they're writing something, whether it's a blog article or it's a magazine article or whatever the thing they can write, I want them to feel really good about the material they're putting out, not just any old crap just to fill up space. Like, to me, I want them to feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially building up their confidence and making them feel ready to go out into the big wide world and sell essentially themselves. And you're
Yeah.
right, women in particular, we do form a lot of comparisons and we are really hard on ourselves. And it's easy to look at other people and think they have it better, but actually it's a different set of circumstances. No two people are the same. You don't have the same upbringing, you don't have the same history, you have no idea what's going on. So, comparison is the thief of joy and you shouldn't do it. So
And this is why I'm so excited for 2025, because I saw it coming for a while, especially in the last quarter of 2024. I could see like a massive divide in the marketing landscape. I can see it's changing drastically, big time. And whereas, as I said earlier, coaches, certain coaches have come online and wanted to display this perfect life in the hopes that you're going to do whatever they want you to do, whether it's coaching or training, whatever. Now people are not looking for perfect. People are looking for someone who's like, oh my God, I think I could talk to her because she just seems normal, like
yes,
she
yeah,
looks like she's been through stuff. So if she's been through stuff, I reckon she could help me. That's what they want. Not, and
yeah,
what's, you know, I think reality TV's had a lot to do with this, because when women come to me and they're like, yeah, but why would anyone want to know about me? Because they look at all the reality TV stars and the film stars and the pop stars and the sports stars, and they're like, why the hell is someone going to want to know about me?
yeah,
And what I always say is this: Why do you think people pay attention to reality TV stars? Like, women will latch onto a reality TV star and they want to know where she gets her hair done and her nails done and which spa she goes to and who her boyfriend is and where he takes her for dinner and where they hung out, which club did they go to and which holiday they're going to go to, and the fashion that she wears. They are so into all of that. And then they could turn around to me, that client, and say, yeah, but they're on TV, so they're going to be interested. And I'm like, yeah, but they're just normal. It's just that they
Yeah,
happen to be on TV, right?
they
They've
weren't
got the
always
class.
on TV.
Yeah. And so what I say to them is, if people are interested in what a reality TV star had for breakfast, right? And then now they're going to see them go and walk their dog later on in the afternoon, and they might go and do a Facebook Live while they're walking the dog and talk schmack about anything, right? Why do you not think that if people are so into what a reality TV star is doing, why can they not do that about you? And you need to release this thing of, well, I'm not important enough. Let that go. People pay attention to so much online more than you actually realize.
Yeah.
You could have a mum, a house looks like a war zone, right? The kids are bouncing off the walls, and she could be looking for a coach. And I speak to many women who are like, oh, I can't do Facebook Lives. My house looks like a mess. They're not going to want to work with me. And I go, I'm not a mum, but if I was a mum and I saw someone who's doing a live, and there's a little bit of a mess in the background and the kids are wanting to sit on their knee and have a chat with them while they're doing the live, I would warm to that woman, because I'd be like, look at her. She's getting on with it with the kids still in the background and still showing up for her business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're real. You're not trying to be this perfect woman who has the perfect house and the cleaner comes several times a week and you have the nanny and everything's perfect. And I'm not bashing anyone who does, by the way. But what I'm saying is, women are going to relate to another woman who's struggling with getting the kids to go to bed on time and getting them to have a bath before bed and all of that and the story time and whatever. A woman's going to relate to that and go, oh my God, I feel seen. This woman is living the life that I'm living.
Yeah.
I think that's
Completely.
to hop on a call with you.
Yeah, that happened a few years ago and it broke the internet, didn't it? When there was that guy who was presenting on one of the news channels, I think it was
Oh,
BBC, and all of a
yeah.
sudden his kid walks in and she's dancing and it's the cutest thing. And then her little sister comes in her little walker, and the poor mum rushes in, tries to get the kids out, and all the meanwhile he's still presenting his piece to camera, and it is just pure gold. And that really made him so much more personable. It was brilliant. I still refer to that clip all the time.
It's brilliant. But you know what? I know, I mean, there's that phrase, isn't there, when it comes to TV, never work with children and animals. But the thing is, right, and this is what I love about PR, you can set yourself up and go, right, this is how it's going to go, da 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 da. But there's also an element of, you don't always know what you're going to get asked. There could be a situation that you couldn't preempt, and now you're like, how do I deal with this? It's a little bit of a like live wire, really, PR, because you can't say this is exactly how it's going to go.
No.
I mean, you can try and plan as much as you can, but there are going to be things that get thrown into the mix that you're not prepared for. And I always say to my clients, don't beat yourself up. I know there's going to be moments where you think, oh, do you know what? I should have said this instead of that. And we're going to beat ourselves. It's only being human. But my attitude is this: you're in the game.
Yeah.
You're in the game. You're showing up. You're doing you. Some things will go well. Some things you could have handled better, but you're doing it.
Yeah, and
That's
there
the
are
important.
tools and techniques that you can sort of learn before you start doing interviews, breathing techniques, thing to
Yeah.
regulate your breathing, and that helps you have clarity in your mind into how you're going to answer. So you're right, you can never prepare fully for the questions that are going to be asked, and you're always going to get a curveball. But the whole, PR does actually sort of prepare you for that sort of situation, and you can almost do some training for that. So it
Exactly.
really does set you up.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm so passionate about PR because I've seen the power of PR and how it has completely grown women's businesses because and I don't, when I say invested in themselves, I'm not meaning just on a monetary aspect. When I say invested in themselves, like they have said, you know what? I matter.
Yeah,
I matter.
personal growth.
My, yeah, my message matters. And I'm not going to grow the way I want to grow if I hold back. And it takes a while for a woman to reach that point. But I will say this, once she does, it's like lighting up a rocket. She's off. Because once she's reached that point of, yeah, I can see why I'm doing this now. This is so important. This is so
Yeah.
important. And another thing I want to say as well, because for anyone who's a bit like, yeah, but I still don't feel good enough or whatever the reason may be. Another reason that PR has gone the way it's gone is you can go into any Facebook group and there's so many people trying to get you to buy whatever they want you to buy. Okay. The beauty about PR is you don't lead with the sale. You're leading with who you are. You're telling a story. So, for instance, like now, we're doing this interview, or you write an article and there's a story in the article. Not once do you lead with the sale.
Mm-hmm.
People find that really relaxed because there are, they could be, and it's, podcasts have exploded because people can live their life while listening to a podcast. So they can be in the car, walk the dog, go for a run, whatever. And if they listen to something and they're like, oh my God, I really like that person. Now they're going off and doing their own due diligence. And so they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to check their website. Or, oh, I'm going to go and check them out on social media. And now they're getting sucked into your world without the force of buy the coaching, come to the retreat. Da, da, da. They're coming into your world with no preconception, no feeling like, oh my God, if I click this button now, I'm going to have to purchase something. Like they're very relaxed and that makes them feel relaxed in getting to know you without it being the hard sell.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Fantastic advice. Love it.
You.
We could talk all day about
I
this
can't
because
talk
there
about
is
this
so much to
ever.
cover. There's so much to cover. And actually, just in this short time, I can see the passion comes through. I can hear it in your voice when you're talking. I can see it in the way that you're speaking to camera. And I can see why so many women want to come and work with you because you sort of ignite that passion in them as well. And that is a skill that cannot be taught. That is, deeply embedded in you. So never lose that. It's really wonderful to see.
You know, I want to say something. I really value what you've said there. So thank you very much. And this isn't me saying anything to be big headed. It's not why I'm saying it. But we all do the business that we do. And there's certain things in your business that light you up, right?
Yeah.
What lights me up is when a woman sends me a message and goes, oh, it's been published. Oh my goodness, it's out in the magazine. Or then she'll send me a message and go, oh my goodness, that interview was amazing. And then it gets published and the podcast is out and it's live. And she's like, oh my God, it's happening. It's moving. I light up like a kid in a sweet shop when I get a message
Yeah.
like that. Not because it's like massaging my ego. I've not said it for that reason. The reason I get lit up when I get these messages off clients is the wheels are in motion to get where she wants to go. And to see her happy and to see her knowing that it's working and she's going to be moved forward and she's excited. Because here's the thing, I can get you PR, but if you're not excited about it, it will fall flat. And so when
Yeah.
I see clients lit up, animated, happy, they can't show enough people the magazine article. They're like, oh my God, you've got to see this
Yeah.
article. My article is amazing. And that to me is everything because all of a sudden now a woman feels worthy of being seen. And there's nothing that makes me happier than seeing that.
Oh, lovely. That's really, really lovely. Perfect way to finish. I am going to link your email and connections in this, because I'm sure from this there'll be people that will want to reach out to you.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm happy to talk to anyone. And even if someone reached out and they were like, oh, but I've still got lots and lots of questions. I never force people, never. But I love hearing what questions people have and the concerns that they have, because it's a big step if you're going to do PR. It's a
Yes.
very big step. You don't just wake up one day and say you're going to do it. So you really need to think it through. And I just love hearing what people want to do with their business. Like, people get so bogged down in marketing, forgetting that every little thing we do in marketing, it's just a tool. Social media is a tool. Facebook
Yep.
ads are tools. Like, a blog's a tool. A YouTube channel's a tool. Everything's just a tool. And instead of getting so bogged down and it's all got to be perfect and it's got to be this and it's got to be that, if we kind of just take the pressure off and just use
Have
it the way
fun
you
with
use
it.
a hammer with a nail. You don't, like, when you've got the hammer and you're like putting the nail in the wall, you're not like, this has got to work. Like, you're not going crazy about it. You're just going, here's a hammer, here's a nail, and here we go. And that's what I want people to do with their marketing. Like, don't take it so seriously. Like,
Yeah.
don't feel like do or die. Like, relax.
Yeah. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey. Yeah. Just enjoy your business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so, so much, Melanie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.